capitalism. All of the gains in automation, it goes to the owner class. All you have to do is have everyone be an owner, and now suddenly any gain in automation is a gain for everybody. If you grow just one thing, it may not grow as well as if it grows with another thing. A good example of that is called the Three Sisters method of farming.
There is definitely multi-apartment buildings or multi-families that do passive design.
$100 million that they gave to Joe Rogan that they would kind of be out if they breach contract. Is that a bigger number? Or is 2 billion a bigger number?
I don't know, Zach.
It's a tough one. I
It's
know.
really hard.
And maybe comparing numbers is not Jeremy's strong suit. Gotta go kill a Jenny.
I still don't think you should kill her. I don't think it's a good idea.
It's a ghost, dude.
Hello, everyone. We're back for more bitching.
Indeed. Another bitch fest. Well, be the Thursday.
I have to say, I feel like my anger that started yesterday has gone deeper today. Like,
Absolutely.
it's still there, but it's a different, like, it's a bad kind.
It really is. And I am having moments where there's thoughts going through my head that once again will dance around to terms of service. So how can I put this? We're all well aware of Hillary Clinton's ability to make people commit suicide by 2 shots to the back of the head. And here there's shit like this going on. She claims to be pro-choice and nothing. I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of dark thoughts going through my head. Like, you could actually make use of that for good.
Right?
I'll shut up now before I get
No.
us banned.
But yeah, let's not get banned, but let's make a point here about this bullshit. And just, gosh, it's just, you know?
Yeah. Like, what do you do to deal with a bunch of fucking men who probably couldn't find the clitoris with a fucking map, and they want to fucking make rules about what women can do with our fucking uterus? They don't even know how one works.
Right. Like, if women made laws, for starters, if that were even a thing, but like, if we started being like mandatory vasectomies, they would lose their shit.
Yeah.
Even though it's an easily reversible procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing has been altered. Like, our birth control options and other things of that caliber can have major side effects for us. It's not such a quick, like, on and off situation.
Right. Long time lasting effects. So, you know how many women I know who have issues where they can't take birth control because it could give them cancer, like breast cancer or ovarian, things like that. And, it's just fucking ridiculous that now we're telling them, okay, you have 0 options except abstinence or pregnancy. Good luck with the rhythm method and trying to fucking, keep track of your cycle.
Speaking of cycles, I was reading something about that, like women that use like cycle tracking apps, and like the government is collecting that data. That scares the shit out of me. I don't use it because like I'm on progesterone and like nothing's happening, but still, like.
Right, if we were to go by my last period, you know how many months they would assume I'm pregnant? Not pregnant.
Right.
Like, I might have 3 or 4 periods a whole fucking year, if that.
Right.
There's no going by that.
Yeah. It's just alarming, the like need for control over something that has 0 to do with you. And it's like, I know that they're not thinking about it at all, but like the repercussions later.
Right.
Now we have this influx of people, but we're not taking good care of them, but we still have this influx of people. I mean, what are you gonna do?
What
Like-
if I know? I am really surprised that there are not major cities burning right now. Or
I think it's
even,
coming.
Like, how are there not riots happening every fucking where? Is everybody really that fucking beaten back and down by this fucking system to all be collectively going, I don't know what the fuck to do?
It's like complacent, right? Because I feel like things were getting shitty. Then COVID happened. Along with Trump, right? And it's just like people kind of have like washed their hands of it. And now like Biden is so just passive. Do nothing.
He's Catholic. Do you really think a Catholic president is gonna fucking be like, yeah, we need to protect Roe?
Of course not, but like he's posing as a Democrat and he knows what the Democrats stand for, but then I guess we have people like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema that are just fucking it up. Anyway, so
Well, I can tell you something I figured out well over a decade ago, that the Democrat Party stands for compromise. Starting from a position of compromise, always being the ones to compromise, which is why I haven't voted for one in fucking eons, because they don't stand on their principles. They're always, once again, like you were saying last night, bending over to give that reach around to the fucking Republicans, like, oh,
Right.
okay, we'll fucking, let go of the majority of what matters in this bill and let you add some bullshit to it just to get you to vote yes with us on it, even when they have a fucking majority. It's stupidity. They really think that they are beholden to appeal to right-wingers, and they're not. Although they don't even realize that they themselves are center-right, not left. They're not left at all.
right.
You have to actually be left of things like hunting the homeless for sport to be a leftist.
It's like, I mean, I am a very brand new to leftism, like within the last, maybe I could say a year now. Like, I've really started to look at things a lot more critically, and it's embarrassing. Because
Really
it's
is.
like, the right gets what they want so much more often because they take a stance and they hold it. Whether it's absurd, which it is most of the time, or not.
Right,
And-
they will die on those hills,
Yep.
gladly. And not
Yep.
fucking care, and they will filibuster till they are fucking, standing there with one foot in the fucking grave, just to fucking not have to concede any fucking thing.
Right.
We need them
Absolutely.
to filibuster. We really do.
Yep. And I'm sure that won't happen either, though, because that's not something we can reach across the aisle for.
Reach around.
It's so icky. I hate it. It just makes me so mad.
It's disgusting and disturbing. Yeah.
Like, Zach's saying West Virginia deserves much better than Manchin. Yeah.
For real. The whole country does, because at this point, Manchin just fucked everybody up the ass with no lube or consent.
Yep.
I bitched my cigarette out.
And, like, there's so much going on in my head, and trying to, like, file it into coherent is a challenge.
For
Just
real.
angry and disappointed and frustrated and very scared.
Right, and like, what the fuck, the audacity at these motherfuckers,
Like, this country deserves a more diversified political system with ranked choice voting and big business being removed from these politicians' back pockets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something we've been screaming about for years, too, of getting money the fuck out of politics, because look at how shit gets swayed. Okay, right now I guarantee you all these motherfuckers that are anti-choice, they're being fucking paid off by this group called The Family. They've been getting paid off by these fuckers for a long time, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, there is a documentary about them. If I remember right, it's on Netflix, and it's called The Family. And this is literally like the people who started the Focus on the Family show. These are the hardest core evangelicals in the fucking country, and they have been buying off votes in Congress for decades. They literally, they have these private closed-door meetings with our politicians to push their fucking religious bullshit into law, to sway people to vote with them. These are the people who started the fucking annual day of prayer bullshit with the government. These same motherfuckers are not just affecting national laws, but international laws, because they get the privilege of going on private fucking jets with our politicians to go meet up with other government bodies and push their bullshit there too.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking bit of this bullshit that's gone on for decades of them pushing to fucking repeal Roe has come from this group. They have working groups in Washington, D.C. They literally have housing where they put up politicians in their fucking communal houses and, you know, integrate them fully into their mindfuck.
Right. And it's just, it violates that whole, like, this, like, did we forget this whole entire country was founded on escape from religious persecution, and here we are trying to pull it back in? Like, wake the hell up. Maybe you need to actually reread your fucking history textbook.
Well, the thing is, they said they wanted freedom of religion, but what it really was, they wanted the freedom to practice Protestantism separate from Catholicism, not be under rule of Catholicism, but they wanted to make Protestantism their flavor of it, their very fundamentalist, archaic fucking way of it. They wanted to have the freedom to impose that on others instead of having Catholicism imposed on them.
Right.
That's not real freedom of religion. Look, one of the first things they did was start burning everybody who they fucking accused of being a witch for even practicing herbal medicine and actually saving people's lives. So they were not about real, true freedom of religion or freedom from it, ever.
Right.
They just wanted to practice their own flavor of usurping other people's fucking human rights.
And it's just pathetic and sad. Like,
It really is. Especially when people here still try to actually claim that, like, the Constitution itself, which came long after colonization started, but that the Constitution itself is quote-unquote based on the Bible. No, the fuck it's not. Even the founding fathers reiterated multiple times over, this is not about Bible stuff here. Our laws are not being based on the Bible. They're being based on, you know, here's some rights that we think should be protected. However, even they themselves are bigots because they only applied that to wealthy white men.
yeah. The same people that are trying to control everything now. White
Right.
men.
Ones who fucking don't even know human anatomy but want to tell us what to do with it. Like, come the fuck on.
No shit.
Next said the abortion bans will be a bonanza for organized crime. That black market will be booming. You're right. Right. This isn't going to get rid of abortions happening. It's just going to get rid of safe abortions
Yep. And then you'll have dead reds. And then how will you increase your population?
Right. Right. People have forgotten how high the death rate was for women due to having to do back alley abortions. Like, you're not pro-life if you want to push women to have to fucking die themselves for not wanting to have a baby.
Right.
Like, making it where, like, you can't get rid of it when it's just a little fucking clump of tissue that is not anything but a fucking mess of little cells. That is not a life.
Right.
It only has a minute potential to even grow to even be one, because most pregnancies you're not even aware of because you miscarry before you're even fucking aware of them.
Right. Well, you must have done something to cause that to happen. And should probably do jail time for it, right? Because that's not a whole other issue. I mean, shit. How do they not see the levels of oppression that they perpetuate? And they just keep it going. It's amazing to me. And again, I am starting this leftist journey. Like, I am very green to it, but like, everything makes sense. You can follow the path, and it is crystal clear, and it's other people are like, oh no, that's extreme.
How is ethical rights extreme?
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing, you know? Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to, of finding yourself really on the left, is having this realization of, like, okay, we're being exploited by capitalism, which is being upheld by racism, sexism, homophobia, all these other things that they've used as impositions to divide and conquer and to subjugate the majority of the population and keep wealthy white men at the top.
Mm-hmm.
All of it is unethical exploitation, every fucking bit of it. It doesn't take much to realize that you're getting fucked. There's even people who are diehard Republicans who are finally noticing that as working class people, they're getting fucked by capitalism.
Right. And like, even, so like, okay, I've been on the job hunt, right? And I am finding such huge discrepancies in pay and things like benefits. Like the other day I was told that a certain place was going to provide me benefits, and then when I went in, she withdrew that and was like, oh, I will give you resources so you can apply for your own. It was like, that is not enticing for me. Because we live in capitalism, I need to be given this by you. Otherwise, I am not interested.
That.
But then, again, it would shift the power back to the employers if universal health care were a thing and baseline needs were met. Excuse me, because then people would not have to make decisions based off of bartering.
Right. You shouldn't have to barter with a potential employer just to have basics covered that
Right.
amount to sustainably living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these motherfuckers, like right now, okay, for example, the state of Michigan is bitching right now that they've only been able to hire about half the people that they need for the Forest Service for the month. You're offering $10 fucking an hour part-time.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a nobody wants to work thing. This is a nobody's going to work for that thing.
Right,
You know,
like, who do you think you're gonna get?
Right. Right. Nobody. For fuck's sake, I graduated in the year 2000, and I was making at that point in time $12.50 an hour plus commission, and it wasn't a livable wage then. My roommate and I got by because between the two of us, we could afford the $600 a month rent, including all bills for our apartment.
Oh my god. And
And-
that's awful! Even for then!
Right. Right. And they're still out here fucking, dude, the federal minimum wage is still $7 and some change.
Yes! Yes! And like in Wisconsin, like waiters and waitresses can be paid $2 an hour because they're supposed to sustain on tips. People don't tip. People are stingy fucks. By the way, I'm one of those people though, if I go to a restaurant, I'm tipping 20% no matter what. Because I understand that your situation sucks, and if I cannot tip that, I don't go.
Right. To me, that is a minimum. Even like people are like, oh, well, what if the service is shitty? Guess what? I've waited tables and I can see what's going on. And if the service is shit, it's typically they're fucking slammed and understaffed. I'm not going to punish them for working their ass off even fucking harder to keep up with things. I'm going to tip them more.
Right.
Most of the time, I tip 50% or more because I know how it is trying to struggle to survive on a couple fucking dollars an hour wages.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things I did to work my way through college. I know how it goes. Ain't nobody there for the paycheck.
Right.
That shit of keeping tipped positions paid so fucking low, that's only so that the employers themselves can exploit labor that much further so they don't have to pay a real living wage and they pass the buck and say, well, it's up to the customer if they decide that you deserve to fucking afford to eat today.
Right.
Hi, James. Welcome.
Hi.
Oh, good. No worries, hon. And yes, Zach, you're correct. The tipping custom has a racist origin, too. Just like every fucking thing else in America. Hi, tradition.
Ew.
Fucking, right.
Or like with jobs like care industry stuff. Anybody that works in a care industry always gets paid absolute shit. And gets shit on. Like teachers, babysitters. I mean, fuck nurses. Oh my god, I have been so fucking embarrassed of people at times. Like in a hospital setting, and you'll see the way that people talk to the nurse. It's like, she is there to help you, asshole. She is trying. Look around. Use your eyes. Assess the situation. Is she the only one on the floor right now?
Right.
Oh.
No. Back when I was working as like a home health aide and a CNA in nursing homes and stuff, like our managers were RNs and LPNs, and their wages haven't changed in 20 years either.
Yep.
Back then, that $25 an hour that an LPN could start out at, okay, you could live on that. Now, barely.
Now it ain't shit, and that's 3 times the minimum wage, and then they don't, oh, we don't want to raise it. Excuse me, we don't want to, like, get out. Maybe, like, Kristen Cinema, I know, is the one that fucked that up, and honestly, let's see if she can make it on a minimum wage. I bet she can be wearing no fancy outfits no more, or having fun-colored hair.
I honestly think that's something that needs to change, that if you are a public employee, you are bound to work for the minimum wage. That way you have incentive that if you're going, wait a minute, this isn't enough for me to live, guess what? It's not enough for anybody else to live on either.
Right.
These motherfuckers in Congress have had the audacity to not only be giving themselves wage increases while not doing dick for the people who pay their wages, but also still whining and complaining about how they're getting just shy of $200,000 a year and saying that that's not enough for them to live. And we're like, and you think we're supposed to live on 35?
Right. And
who the fuck do they think they are? Who the fuck do they think they're talking to?
Yeah. They don't know shit. They don't have a fucking clue because they are so submerged in their own filthy wealth that they don't have perspective on anything anymore. It's like, shit, give people healthcare, give people housing, give people food. I am not entitled to chocolate. Will I work so I can buy chocolate? You bet your ass I will. Because I like it that much. Like, it's a luxury, right? Like,
right.
Oh, sorry.
These motherfuckers are crying about how they can't afford a second home.
Right.
Fuck you, most of us don't own a first home.
Yeah, and never will. Like, shit, I just realized, because I lost my job at the beginning of the month, like, we had started the house hunt, and now I have to back off because you need to have employment for at least a year at the same place. So I'm like, fuck. I can't even touch this now.
Depends on who you talk to. I would recommend maybe talking to a credit union instead of a large bank and see.
Yeah, that's what we did, because we bank with, or we use Spire Credit Union, and I really like them a lot. And they were like telling us, like, you really shouldn't buy right now anyway, because you're going to get gouged.
You really
And
will.
Odds are you're going to end up pissed off with what you get. So,
Unless you manage to find something that you can buy on owner financing, then you might be able to actually get a decent price for a house. But a lot of the stuff that's been getting listed is getting snatched up by companies like Zillow that started out being just a site for realtors and investors to be able to list properties for sale. Well, now Zillow is so big that it's, and other companies like it are actually
Right.
buying the best properties before anybody else gets a chance to, and artificially inflating cost of housing by jacking the prices up and flipping the houses.
right.
Like, they're not even doing like investors do of fixing homes up and then increasing the price to cover the cost of the labor, etc., for doing the repairs.
Mhm.
They're just being like, yeah, we bought this property for $80K, we're going to sell it for $130. We bought this property for $200K, we'll sell it for $5.
Right. And they've done nothing to improve upon it. It makes me so mad. And I look at, like, the neighborhood we live in. I like our neighborhood. But, I mean, like, the catalytic converter thefts are through the roof. This is the second time we've fallen prey to that. We're having a plate put on it this time. So hopefully whenever we get it back, it shouldn't happen. We've gotten to the point now where people are so desperate, ripping the copper wire out of the streetlights.
Yeah. This is literally a poverty issue. People being forced to live in fucking poverty, and, you make more money fucking scrapping out stuff like that than you do working for any of these fucking places that are screaming about how they need employees.
Mm-hmm.
Which way you gonna go? Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Fucking try to find a way to, like, chain and lock your fucking catalytic converter so it can't just be yoinked in 2 minutes?
Right. And it's like, the apartment we live in is fine, but there's, like, shitty lighting, and I've brought it to their attention multiple times, because other people, one of our neighbors had her license plate stolen in the parking lot, somebody else had their tires stolen. Like, wake the hell up.
Right.
But that's not where the police, who are supposed to help the community,
They don't.
yeah, they just make the situation worse, which is super cool.
You are not a business that got robbed, so they don't give a fuck.
Right.
But it's like all these things, the severe poverty, the lack of access to housing, the lack of access to decent paying job, all of these things are factors that definitely impact people actively choosing for decades now to either limit the number of kids they have or not have them at all, because you're going, I can't have kids. How am I going to provide for them? Where am I going to put them?
Right. I can barely
And
take care of me.
You want to fucking attack birth control? Ah!
Yeah. And birth control is fucking cheap. It is so cheap. And insurance was like, it's free. Because it's saving them money. So, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. What's going to happen to insurance? It's already fucking insane. Is that going to get worse now because more people are going to end up pregnant and they're going to need money so people can have babies? I mean, shit, my sister just had a kid. Her bill was like $3,000 and she's like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? No.
It's not fine. That would
No.
devastate those people's finances. Like,
Right.
the average wage in this fucked up country is around $50K a year. And that's average. That's
Right.
not even like, that means there's a small handful of people who make so much fucking money that the majority of people who are surviving on poverty wages make it even out to be a average of 50K. But most of us are fucking operating on like 30, 35K a year or less. That's 10% of your fucking annual income.
Mhm.
Just to pay for the birth. That's not counting all the prenatal care. That's not counting all the shit that you need as far as crib, diapers, wipes, bottles, fucking all of that stuff. It's expensive as hell.
Right. And that's if they're healthy. If they're healthy. If mom is healthy. And odds are there's usually something. Uh-oh, my God. I'm coming.
Yeah, it's the same troll that was bitching about the book Zach and I were reading Monday night too. We're just going to ignore you, armed with my opinions, because clearly you're a right-winger who has some extreme views and is ignorant to the fact that Republicans are neoliberal too. So yes, you liberals, we're not liberals, you are, you do have an infantilized literary taste. And it shows in your incapacity to even deal with people discussing things that just make you uncomfortable. So take a seat, take many fucking seats. We're discussing something tonight that involves body parts that you probably don't even have, because just given the shit that you were throwing out the other night and how you're even coming at this right now, I am guessing that you are a cis male. Take a fucking seat. Your input's not needed. Yeah. Good burn. You're fucking dumb, dude. God. And don't tell me to lay off when you're the one hopping in the comments just to be harassing and annoying. Take a seat. Anyway.
I'm still reading.
So, not even worth reading.
It's ridiculous. Also, like, this is a discussion.
Right.
We don't need to... Alright, I guess name calling has occurred. Whatever. Yes, James. Thank you.
Right. That's what I told this guy on Monday, too. Nobody's making you be here. Listen,
Right.
guy, you can go talk all of your opinions on your own channel and your own fucking show. We have a right to hit a block button if you want to continue to be a douchebag. Your free speech is only limited to, you get to announce it in your own fucking space. It doesn't mean that you are free from the repercussions for your words, which in this case can be a fucking block, because you're just annoying. You like to sidetrack things and try to absolutely derail conversations because you have nothing better to do. I guess maybe you could get a fucking life. If you have nothing better to do than stalk and harass leftist podcasts, you seriously need some help. And at that, I'm going to ignore that motherfucker and we can go back to the real conversation here, because even those few seconds are derailment enough.
Oh, there's more.
Quetz TTV, I'm betting that his side is that of bigotry, from what I can tell. You don't have a First Amendment right to engage here. Go to your own page. First Amendment doesn't give you the right to fucking run your mouth at anybody anywhere you want to. We have the right to block you. We have the right to tell you to fuck off. No, you are a bigot, which is why you can't stand women talking about women's issues, like how this whole fucking abortion issue and birth control issue actually fucking is multifaceted and greatly affected by things like lack of access to housing, lack of access to proper pay, lack of access to proper health care, the whole 9 yards. Well, no, you just showed your idiocy with the Karen thing, because I've never met a fucking Karen in my life that has a purple mohawk, but, you know, carry on, dumbass. And you're racist too. If all you're concerned about is white women, then you have a fucking problem.
Right. This is
Or are you
women.
presuming that I'm white? Because I'm mixed. I'm multiracial. Don't know what's wrong with you, but go sit down.
He's
Anyway.
not saying anything now.
Give him a minute. Or block him. Either way.
Like, I just want to hear him say something that's actually relevant to what we're talking about. White passing. How is she white passing?
I do admit, yes, I am light-skinned. I am white presenting. I'm half white, roughly. I'm also a quarter Jewish. I'm also a quarter mix of pretty much every fucking thing else on the planet. Get out of here, guy. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
What
You're
are
just
our
trying
rules?
to attack people because you don't like our stance about issues that don't affect you. It affects us. Jewish is West Asian. I'm talking ethnic Jew, not European convert. Anything else? Jews come in every color of the fucking rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Ethnic Jews. One ethnicity group. Jesus. Go look up Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi are European converts. And what Great Britain deemed to be the Middle East is West Asia. It's only Middle East in adjacence to Great Britain. And Great Britain's not the center of the world. Not sorry to burst your bubble on that. Anyway, so I'm done with this guy derailing the conversation.
Bye-bye. I think. Uh-oh. So much for help.
He's a fucking troll.
This is mean, though. Okay, I think he's blocked now. I'm kind of a Luddite at this new folks that have popped in. I try. Sometimes I break things.
Shit happens. It's
Yeah.
all software. Anything can be addressed again later, but you know.
It's stuff, not people, so it's okay. Such commentary, though. Gosh, that stuff just like... It's one thing if you come in and have something very concrete to offer.
Right. But he has nothing to offer. He always wants to derail conversations.
Well,
And yeah,
just little
James,
personal
America
attacks.
is basically the melting pot. It's called that for a reason. Everyone here has a certain amount of mixed this, that, or the other, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really ignorant that so many people try to presume to know someone's ethnicity based on seldom few things. You know,
Right.
like he's only looking at my level of pigment, not my bone structure, or he would have not even needed me to tell him to put his foot in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. It's sad and cruel. Like, people need to just fucking talk more. Makes me mad.
It's fucking
Okay.
dumb.
It is dumb to be that presumptuous instead of being like, hey, have you ever taken a DNA test? What kind of things, you know, what
Right.
information did you learn about yourself from that? Like, I'm Native American and Central Asian and, oh God, Siberian and some random European that I would expect, but then like a very small sliver of Native American. But then people are like, well, you don't pass as Native American because you're too light. It's like, cool, well, I don't identify 100% Native American. Because it would be impossible.
Right? It's one of those weird things where colorism has so deeply like mind fucked people in this country, and it's fucking beyond ridiculous. I really fucking hate white supremacist fucking thought and ideology. I hate the way that it's fucked everybody up to that point that, like, they literally want to fucking analyze qualifiers and stuff, and it's like, you cannot just presume to know anything, actually, even about a person, even if you know their ethnicity. You don't know anything about the person, about their thoughts, you don't know anything.
Right.
I'm the energy riding in this swimsuit. This is just electrified meat that I'm riding in for while I'm in it.
Mm-hmm. It's your carrying
Judging
case.
people by their appearance is fucked.
Right.
Presuming to know anything about them by their appearance is fucked, but anyway. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, that could get off on such a tangent.
Ooh, anyway.
Let's see. Everyone that is black must be African, right? Yeah, exactly. Sorry, that was the word.
Thank you, Quetz TTV.
Oh, that was very, very kind. But that's just it. Like, people are more than what they appear, right?
Right.
And this closes the circle. I'm gonna make it close the circle. Like, people, in our particular case, women, right? Being objectified constantly by lots of males, being raped or taken advantage of, or being victims of sexual assault. Not to say that it can't go both ways, it can, but predominantly it's male against female. Shit, I just lost my train of thought. Dear God, help me. It just, everything is transactional.
Well, a lot of that comes from this really fucked idea in white supremacism that comes down to trying to quantify in order to qualify, what you are, how you're supposed to fit in this box or this paradigm. And that's something that people, especially here, really need to learn how to let the fuck go of, because you can find the whitest appearing white person ever and run their DNA, and you're going to discover all kinds of shit. Not to mention, there is not a human being on this planet whose ancestry doesn't go back to Africa. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the cradle of life. That is where all human civilization began. The entire human diaspora comes from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. All of it. All we did was acclimate to different fucking environmental surroundings.
Right.
So, anyway.
But we don't want to accept that either. It just, oh, God.
And that's the thing, this is definitely a facet that comes into play with the conversation we're here for on Roe, because when it comes to risk giving birth, women of color are more greatly affected. When it comes to risks in raising children, women of color are more greatly affected.
Right.
When it comes to access to healthcare in general, women of color are more greatly affected than any fucking buddy. Anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just an assault on women and non-men. This has some inherent racism to it too.
Yep. To perpetuate the systemic oppression.
Yes.
Make a bad situation worse. Which is disgusting. About, oh God, how many years? We'll just say like 5 years because it doesn't really matter. But like, I used to work for a nonprofit called Jeremiah Program. And there were multiple locations in the Twin Cities. And basically it was set up so that single moms could have housing, access to food, access to lawyers, access to mental health, and all of these things under the condition that they were either working full-time or they were in school. And they purposely set these locations up on bus lines or like near light rails. They're across the country, I think, or at least in a few other states. But most of the women served by that program were not white. I think we had, when I worked there, one white lady. That's it.
And a lot of that is because everything else, when it comes to access to education and access to higher paying jobs, guess what? Also causing great harms there where it's negatively impacting women of color.
Mhm.
Women in general, period, do not have as much reach when it comes to those things as men do, even as far as we've come, in the last 5 decades. We still have a pay gap for the same fucking work. We still have discrimination when it comes to even the fact that we have a uterus and could possibly get pregnant, let alone the discrimination you deal with if you do tell your job that you're pregnant. And that's just across the board for all women. Now, the greatest negative impact that's happening there is on women of color. It's another facet of systemic racism, and this is the kind of intersectionality we're talking about when we say that capitalism is being upheld by patriarchal sexism, by racism, by homophobia, all these other facets that people are being discriminated against. It doesn't matter whether the shit that's written into law is using racial or gendered or sexual orientation related verbiage. What matters is who it impacts the most.
Right. And that's just it. Like, I can't even begin to fathom what the world looks like through the lens of someone that's female but not white. And even I, as a white woman, feel like I face enough struggles as is, and that's such a... I don't mean that in a minimizing way. I don't know. Like, it has to stop. The transactionism of the world that we live in, this country that we live in, is bullshit.
Right.
I do hate falling for identity politics. It's a nice way to divide the working class. Mm-hmm.
That's why the Rainbow Coalition is making a comeback now to remind people that we do need to unite in order to actually invoke real change. We can't have so many separate pockets of people who most of our goals in mind, most of our needs are in common, and then we're disagreeing about this and disagreeing about that. It's so frustrating because all of these things are negatively affecting the majority of our population across the fucking board.
Right. We need to support each other as a community. We need to help each other out. We need to close the pay gap. I mean, God, it's just totally fucked how two people with the same fucking degree, same number of years out of college, can end up with different salaries.
Yeah.
It's like...
hell, even different job offers.
Right. Like, cut the shit. Quit trying to say that this is equal. It's not.
Right. It's not, especially not when they're wanting to come after birth control that allows us even some measure of leveling that playing field where we can plan when we want to have children or not.
What are these big ass insurance corporations gonna fucking do when more women are pregnant and having to deal with that? I'd love to know. how they're going to expense it. Who's going to pay for it? Us.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll lead to the upheaval that we need to have, but like, does it really all have to go to hell in a handbasket first? Like, come on. Insurance always makes birth control free for a reason. It's cost effective and it allows people to make informed decisions. And don't get me wrong, I hate the insurance industry most of the time, but like in this particular instance, they should really look at things. It's not like an inhaler where they're charging you $400 fucking dollars a month to breathe. It's birth control. All these things add up, and maybe that's another thing they need to look at, is like all this shit adds up. Preventative care is critical. But because everything's a transaction, it gets pushed off until things get way, way worse, and then you can't deal with the pain, or you can't deal with whatever struggles, or you're just willing to bite the bullet in something that could have been solved or at least managed earlier on has now become a catastrophe. And that's what's going to happen to all these women who are taken advantage of and hurt and forced to carry pregnancies that they don't want, can't afford, are not prepared for to term. Financial ruin, emotional damage, horrible relationships with these kids. Won't even talk about the education system and how that's falling apart, and there's teachers that are quitting like fucking wildfire, and they're consolidating like huge districts into like 2 or 3 buildings where there's like thousands of kids, and teachers are teaching like 60 kids in a room across multiple grade levels. I'm okay.
It's overwhelming, and that's a big part of like this being torn between screaming in anger and going, what the fuck do we even do to fix this?
Right.
We never would have thought this would ever fucking happen, of Roe even being considered for overturning, not, let alone there actually being a fucking SCOTUS in place that would do it.
Right?
This is what happens when you've got people who commit various types of sexual assault, up to and including rape, on the fucking Supreme Court. This is what happens when you have patriarchal, sexist-ass fucking men, and a woman with internalized fucking misogyny, too. Just one of those conservative justices is a woman who is anti-woman.
Right. And they just think she's so lovely. Like, wow, look at her. RBG is not impressed right now, guys. She's not.
Although, like Zach pointed out last night, she had the fucking opportunity to retire while there was still, Democratic hold on the House, the Senate. So.
But she didn't.
Didn't.
She was scared, I think.
She could have, helped ensure that there was at least still some balance on that court by just retiring at the right time. But then again, when it came to the 2016 election, I never thought that Trump's dumbass was going to win.
I know. I didn't either. And then when he did, I laid on the couch and I cried for 10 hours straight.
And the thing is, okay, Hillary's an asshole too.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments of rock and hard place. What the fuck? How is this any kind of sense of choice or freedom?
Right.
Between a piece of shit and a piece of shit.
It's shot or stabbed. My favorite game. Which one do you want? And it's like, why is it always between two?
Because during McCarthyism, when they were putting the fucking squash on everybody who was actual leftists, so if you were a socialist, a communist, an anarchist, anything in that vicinity, you were being silenced, jailed, killed, deported. Any way to shut the real left up. They wanted it whittled down to neoliberal or neoliberal. Anybody who was against capitalistic exploitation, they wanted silenced completely, because how dare anybody threaten this paradigm of hierarchy that they've built with themselves on top.
Like, my family is afraid of me. Like, my mom and stepdad and sisters, because Zach and I are so left, and they are so conservative. But they don't understand it. They don't understand that it's about building community and taking care of each other and working collectively and not oppressively.
That's the thing, like, you know, our parents' generation and grandparents' generation, they had that luxury of actually having some decent wages, decent benefits, retirement packages, 401k, the whole fucking 9 yards, because of the union representation that they had, that even that alone was a half measure. It was conceding those things, because the initial formation of unions was with the goal to actually seize the means of production so that the people owned the value of their labor, where businesses would be owner-operated co-ops instead of this capitalist hierarchy where a whole bunch of people are working for very little so that one or a few people on top can take a profit margin, which is just unpaid wages.
Right.
They're exploiting your labor, period. Plain and fucking simple. You're not working in a co-op, you are being exploited. And so when it came down to trying to get people to stop setting things on fire, because they didn't fuck around back then. They were like, oh, you want to fuck us over? We're going to burn your train yard. You try to tell us to ship this shit. We're setting the train cars on fire. You know, so in order to try to quell that dissent and get people to stop setting shit on fire, they were like, okay, well, you know, we'll meet you at 8-hour work days and putting some child labor laws into place and living wage, and here, you know, throw in some benefits, etc. And with that sadly was enough to at least quiet down a lot of people who were kind of in the middle. And like I said earlier, the people furthest to the left got jailed, kicked out of the country, like Emma Goldman and Alexander. God, I'm drawing a blank here. We were just reading his book too. Zach, what's his last name?
Oh, I'm thinking of not even remotely close to the correct Alexander, so I'm not gonna...
He was her partner in life and in politics. You know, they got voted out of the country. Others that we've seen since in the civil rights movement killed, like MLK, Fred Hampton, Berkman, thank you, Alexander Berkman. You know, we have seen nothing but a complete intolerance for any anti-capitalist thought, because along with that comes anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia.
And we're clearly not fucking ready to not attack people over stuff that is out of one's control.
It's not about stuff. It's about ability to fucking live.
Right.
It's about ability to access basics like housing, food, healthcare.
Right. Things that people should just have. And like again, if you want something like a piece of chocolate, or you know, you want to go buy some makeup, or you want to get some funky tools for your woodworking stuff, that's what that money can go to. And then you're really profiting the economy. You're truly like
Right,
Ugh.
that's the thing. That's why the economy was booming for a long time when our parents' generation were like our age. Because they had buying power.
right.
They could go and buy a fucking house real easily. They could get a job real easily. If, you know, you could walk into GM, and if you had a strong heartbeat, you were hired. You didn't need multiple engineering degrees, things like that. You could go work at a grocery store bagging groceries, and you could afford housing, college, a vehicle, vacation. Nobody working in a grocery store can say that now, other than people who work at co-ops.
Right. I mean, fuck, my grandpa built their house and did the vast majority of the labor himself, minus like electrical and plumbing, because that's out of his wheelhouse. He was like a carpenter, master wallpaper hanger, tile, wood floors, beautiful fucking house, fully finished basement, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, like full baths, and then a half bath in the basement. $60,000. I can't even fucking fathom that. If I saw a house for $60,000, I'd be like, there's no pipes in that house no more. There's no appliances in that house no more. That house may or may not have siding. Or drywall. And that's like, not even, like, couldn't even be a thing. And like, I would talk with my grandmother about this stuff a lot too. She's like, I don't foresee you being able to buy a home in your lifetime with how things are going. It's like,
If I ever own a home, it's probably going to be because it's in the will and I inherit it.
Right. Yeah, my parents' house. I know my parents' house will go to one of my sisters because they have kids and I don't. So, like, the need, right?
Right.
It's just fine. I don't give a shit. I don't like that house that's in the middle of nowhere anyway. Like, that's just the whole fucking thing of it all.
And how, you know, that's actually something that, you know, we have discussed in my family, you know, because my parents are adamant of putting both mine and my brother's name on there in the will, you know. That's fine by me. You know, neither of us would care either way. You know, he's got 4 kids. Live it up.
Yeah.
If I'm in Michigan, sure, I'll come stay.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, you have to let me stay there when I'm in town.
But, you know, the city of Grand Blank's trying to shit on that one, but we'll leave that alone for another fucking day. You know, they've got shit. They like to cry about people parking RVs in the driveway. Yeah.
Stupid.
Dumb shit. But, you know, it speaks to that authoritarianism, too, that is an inherent problem in so many fucking laws that we see being passed. People have the fucking audacity here to point the finger at other countries and be like, oh my god, look how authoritarian they are. And they think that it has to do with having a socialist or communist economy, and it's like, no, we have more authoritarianism here under capitalism. I hate to break it to you, but the United States is #1 in the most fucked up things ever, starting with highest incarceration rate and per capita, And the largest incarcerated population on the planet, we are a mere 5% of the global population. We have over 25 motherfucking percent of the global incarcerated population.
Right.
More than any fucking where else in recorded history.
How fucking soon is it gonna be until they decide that people who have debt can go to jail? Like, I'm gonna be in jail the rest of my life. Cool. Like, if that becomes the case, just be like, bye.
Right? They could jail me for being disabled and unable to pay for student loans. If that was the case. It's like, how would that help anyone with anything other than getting taxpayers to drop around 65,000 a year to keep me in a jail? Because that's, from what I saw the other day, that's the average now spent to imprison each person a year. You know how much a world of difference, at least I believe that was for New York. Swiss cheese memory. But you know how much of a difference that would make to instead put that money into making sure that those people have housing and food and healthcare. The majority of crimes have to do with people being in poverty. We would see most of them annihilated if we solved poverty. You know, like, would we still need some system to deal with murders and rapists and things?
Sure, but those would be outliers, right? And
Right.
those could be people that can be rehabilitated. Like, they could be mentally assessed throughout their incarceration or their non-community time, right? Maybe it's not jail, maybe it's a housing situation. And they all stay together in a house and they're frequently mentally assessed. Like, are you making profit? Or, like, are you making progress? Ha, profit. Somebody's mind somewhere. Are you making progress? Are you showing remorse? Are you understanding the impact of your actions upon others? And what is your plan going forward? Did you have untreated mental illness? You know? Get to the root of the issue instead of just being like, you're a piece of shit and I'm gonna lock you up forever. Because I mean, when people are committing crimes out of poverty and they go to jail, a whole bunch of needs get met when they go to jail. Instead of just like meeting the needs so that doesn't happen in the first place. And like, people wouldn't be trying to strip the lights out or steal catalytic converters if they had food, healthcare, and housing. And again, things can still be treated as luxuries. You don't need to be able to go out to eat every night.
Right.
You don't need everything with processed sugar and alcohol and things like that. Like, tax the shit out of it.
You don't need Ray-Bans, but you need some sunglasses that have UV protection.
Right. Yeah. And like, oh, damn. Right. Or like, oh shit, here now we're closing up again. Here, I just thought about this. Like, women's menstruation products, panty liners, tampons, maxi pads. Why does your insurance not cover those things even though they are medically necessary? Anybody want to tell me that? They're not expensive. I mean, they are kind of expensive depending on your flow and whatnot.
Or if you get ones that are not covered in fucking chemicals that can make you sick.
Right.
It's very expensive to go and get things that are all cotton that hasn't been fucked with.
Right. Yeah, those people are wearing like tampons and things like that without like the chlorine and shit. Because I often think that my vag needs some chlorine.
Yeah, chlorine is absolutely something you do not want to put in your vagina. That's asking for infection. It's one of those things that how people don't see that not only is it a medical necessity, but it's a medical necessity to clean up even how these products are made, because it's negatively affecting our health to have constant chemical exposure to mucosa skin.
Right.
that is highly absorbent.
And that causes more medical need, more doctor's visits, more medications and things, and it's more of a tax on the system. So, like, fuck, just get it together. Give people choices. Give people what they fucking need. Like, this is a weird thing that I've noticed lately, but, like, I have subbed in some school districts and been in, like, high schools and middle schools and stuff and gone into the girls' room, because, like, if I gotta pee, I gotta pee. I'm not gonna go find the staff bathroom. It's go time. There's never, like, sanitary napkin tampon dispensers or anything in those bathrooms. There's not, like, there should be. Right. Like, why not just put a basket of them in the bathroom? And you know, you do need to make sure that you have both, because some women do prefer a tampon to a maxi pad, and some women have to use both.
Right.
At the same time. It should be there.
Right. You shouldn't have to, like, run to the office and ask the nurse for some, panty liners and tampons.
Right. And odds are she'll probably be really apprehensive to give them to you. Because I recall many a time needing them from the nurse. The nurse is like, oh, well, you got some last month. Well, guess what? My period happens every month, bitch. So, like, fork them
Right.
over.
Right. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
Especially, like, it's one of those things, like, if these kids' parents don't, have a lot of money to keep up on stock of that, what if they ran out that morning and didn't have some on hand to take with them to school?
Right.
What if it doesn't fucking matter. If you don't have a panty liner or a tampon, you don't have one. You need one.
Right.
The hell is wrong with these schools? Like, and this is, it also goes back to the funding issue of, like, half the time they don't have funding for even all of the things they need in the classroom, let alone the bathroom. And a lot of that also comes back to ding 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 systemic fucking racism, because when your schools are funded by a fucking lottery based on the property taxes of the houses in your area, if you live in a wealthy area, you're going to get a well-funded education. If you live in a poor area, you're going to get a poorly funded education.
Right.
You're not going to have basics in your fucking bathroom.
Right.
Or your classroom.
Is pathetic. And, like, that was another thing I noticed this year. There was no sex ed for 4th and 5th graders. It was not something that happened. And we're like, you have got to be kidding me. I live in a blue state and no one is talking about reproductive situations. You have 3rd graders coming out of the bathroom like, I'm bleeding and I didn't get cut. Like, and having to, like, it's okay, this is your menstrual cycle, and this is going to happen once a month, and now we need to go find you X, Y, and Z, and, like, why has no one talked to you about this? It just breaks your heart. But then, like, that's perpetuating the trend moving forward, where we're not talking to kids about consent. And we're moving into these situations where people are going to start getting raped, I'm sure, way more often than they were before, and not being able to have access to treatment.
And it's fucked. Dude, this isn't just affecting adults. This is affecting kids.
Right. It all spills down.
I mean, there's a meme going around right now that really hits the nail on the head of a little girl in a hospital bed with the nurse telling her, I'm sorry, this is Alabama, we can't abort daddy's baby.
That's gross.
It is, but it's fucking true. I mean, look at how many kids get pregnant because of sexual assault from a family member or a friend of the family.
Yeah.
And
they have to live with that consequence then for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And that
they are being punished for having been assaulted.
Right.
And these
And-
people have the audacity to call themselves pro-life. They don't give a fuck about the life of these kids. They're being
Right.
forced to give birth to rape fetus.
Right. And like, what's that mother-child relationship gonna be like? You know damn well there's gonna be some resentment there. Naturally, right?
Oh, but their solution for that is that you can, give it up for adoption. That doesn't undo the fucking perpetual chronic trauma, PTSD, that is happening on a daily basis from the point of that rape till the birth and then long afterwards for
Right.
fucking ever, because that's how PTSD works. That when you have endured trauma, anytime that something reminds you of that, you're reliving the experience.
Right.
What kind of fucking society tells little kids that they don't even have governance over their own body?
Right. And that trauma, that PTSD, like, trauma is such an interesting thing because it's like, it's a sensorial experience. And your brain forms deeper memories when your senses beyond sight are involved. And that's what makes that so much worse.
Yeah.
I mean,
It could be a smell that reminds
right.
you, and you're back in that moment.
Or a way someone might touch you. Even if it's not, even if it's a partner or a friend or someone that you have that kind of rapport with.
Right.
A sound, a song that was playing. A taste.
Anything.
Right.
Any of those things. It's like, motherfuckers like to make light of this word, but it's literally labeled this because it triggers a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Triggered isn't just, oh, somebody's fucking overreacting. No, that is literally a memory got triggered, and they're reliving that trauma in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, David, you're correct. David said the reasons they want to ban abortion is related to neoliberalism and the need for soldiers. They want children to grow up in shit conditions so that military service looks like the option to better one's self. And that's absolutely fucking true. You already see these pro-forced birth motherfuckers kicking out photos of, like, here's a tiny box with an American flag on it and saying, this could have been a soldier. Really? You want people to be born so they can die fighting war?
Right.
Fuck you.
Right.
That's
like,
all we are is breeding chattel.
Mm-hmm.
They need more bodies to keep the free labor or cheap labor systems going. And by free labor, I am definitely, absolutely referring to the legalized slavery of the prison system, which they do anything to excuse locking you up. That's why, again, we have people being locked up for doing things that are driven by poverty, such as stealing. And we have people being locked up for personal use of marijuana, fucking, things like that. They will look for any fucking reason to throw you into that. They don't give a fuck about your life. They give a fuck about how can they get labor out of you in any way, shape, or form. And that's an excellent one that you brought up there, because what's the one fucking way that you can get socialism? I'm sorry, there's two. But the first one that's actually accessible, the one way you can get socialism in this country is join the military. Then you get your education paid for, then you get health care. The other one is be a politician, and that's behind a massive paywall. And yeah, James, absolutely. They hang out at high schools and try to sucker kids into signing up. Like, here's your ticket out of severe poverty. Now you'll just be in enough poverty to still need, like, a food stamp card. But, we'll give you some benefits.
was sharing with James, I was forced to take the ASVAB in high school, and I scored within a certain score that made me like very, because like there's certain ASVAB scores for each branch of the military, and like I scored like Navy well, so they were like, ooh, hi, you should sign up. And I mean, if the Navy sounds like it's too much for you and you think you're gonna get seasick, you'd be an excellent candidate for the Air Force, especially with your electrical engineering marks. And I got so close because my stepdad was in the military. So like he was nudging for it, and my grandma's like, "What are you fucking thinking?
Right.
You can't be in the military. Like, it's gonna fuck up your entire life. You could die. Like,
Right.
for something that you don't even give a shit about." So, thank goodness for Grandma. Love her, miss her. Wonderful person.
Yeah, I even considered it because I would have loved to be an astronaut, and the only path to NASA really for that is going through the Air Force and, also earning your science degrees at the same fucking time and getting them paid for, the whole 9 yards. And I've always had an absolute, love for space and, would love to be out there traveling.
Right.
But would the military be good for me mentally? Fuck no. Fuck
'cause
no.
you're
I'd have probably done nothing but push-ups.
Yeah. Because
They'd hated me.
you're just stripped of everything. I mean, fuck. When I took that test, I had military people on either fucking side of me any second now, and I'm just like, please. I don't like this. I want to go home. Why did my mom okay this? I'm so mad. But like they had like 10 servicemen in the room while we were testing, and it was such a small group too.
It's that high pressure shit. Yeah.
Right. I was like, how the fuck did I score on this? Like, how did I get these kind of marks?
Right. Like, why do I have to take this? I don't want to. I don't
Right.
consent. God. Having recruiters blow up my phone or show up at my door after that shit was insane. Like, why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you calling me? Leave me alone. Leave me
Yeah.
alone. I was already in college. I'd been dual enrolled. And so, my focus was there. I was already, well into my college credits when I graduated high school, so it didn't take me too long to, finish up my first degree and transfer from Mod over to U of M and stuff. And that's where I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, when it came down to it, like James just pointed out, getting killed at 19, not appealing.
Right.
I wanted to actually have a life. I wanted to, be able to pursue the sciences and,
Right.
learn as much as I could. I didn't want to have to risk my life for it, and I found that to be bullshit, that anybody should have to risk their life for it. Also, coming full circle again on this thought, because one of the things that I was discussing with a friend the other day, he made a comment about, this discussion between equal rights for women and the draft. And, why aren't women being drafted too? And my response was, why is anybody being drafted? We shouldn't have a draft. It's not that women should be forced to sign up for the draft too. It's that men shouldn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should have to. Forced
Right.
conscription is bullshit. They should never be able to bring back the draft. That right there should be codified into law. There will never, again, be a fucking draft.
Right.
That's a violation of your bodily autonomy. All the way.
And they shouldn't be giving the ASVAB to high school kids either.
Fuck no.
You
They
should have to
shouldn't
wait till they're adults. Because
Well-
they don't understand. I certainly didn't until I was done, and it was like, holy shit, am I in the military now? Because I fucking did this thing?
Right?
Ridiculous.
And it's one other toxic facet of this too. Have you ever looked at the rates of rape in the military because they're atrocious. I mean, our
Oh.
national rates are already fucking atrocious, but they are definitely fucking overshadowed by that amongst the military. And what motherfuckers want to tell even the soldiers? Sorry, you can't get an abortion or a birth control either.
Mhm. Oh, I 1000% believe it. 100,000%.
Then again, with everything else these fucks are coming for, they might try to come for women in the military too.
Right.
I mean, they've already like not ever fucking let up on coming after non-men and trans
Mhm.
people and gay people in the military. You know,
Right.
even if they changed stupid laws like the don't ask, don't tell bullshit, it doesn't matter. These bigots in their own personal, you know, perspectives and the people who they vote for, they're still coming for us. And I say us because I am bisexual, I am LGBTQ.
Mhm.
And if I had joined the military, that's probably one of the things that men would have targeted me for as a bisexual woman. They would have been
Right.
like, oh, apparently you haven't had enough dick if you like pussy, and probably raped me. Or at least attempted to.
Right.
Why? Because toxic ass fucking rapists target lesbian women, bisexual women, trans people, and other non-men the most. They cannot fucking stand that idea of somebody having other options besides their dick.
Right. And it's absurd. Or also just someone, like, could you just imagine though them like face to face with someone who's ace,
Right. Right.
but still
Like,
like
we wouldn't know what to
straight?
do.
They would be like, well, how can you be straight if you don't like dick? Well, some people the connection is not always in sexual intercourse. Sometimes
Right.
there are other ways to connect with people, and if you were a person worth connecting to, you would be aware of that.
Right. And that's the thing. They forget that a romantic connection and partnership isn't just about what you're doing with your genitals. It's that life partnership that of, you know,
Yeah.
simply connecting with each other. You know, it doesn't have a fucking thing to do with there are many facets to a partnership.
Hmm.
Sex is just one of them, and for some people it's not a facet.
And some people it fades over time, like shit.
Right?
Over the span of my life, my drive has changed greatly.
Right.
And
It
I'm
has a lot to do with
38.
hormone levels, fucking
Right.
other factors of health, you know, and just simply age itself. But you know, when it comes to things like that, like we've got these fuckers happily cranking out little blue pills to keep old dicks hard.
Hmm.
They
Right.
want to tell us what insurance can cover, let alone what we can even access.
Hmm.
How about we stop funding their dick pills?
Right.
Why?
Like, the Lord giveth and he taketh away. It looks like he tooketh away your boner, so like tough.
And David, that one's kind of a slippery slope. Do we have some social programs? Yes. Would I label it National Socialism? No, because it doesn't go far enough to actually qualify as real socialism. We have tiny little band-aids to put on massively severed arteries. What I would actually call National Socialism would be more like what you see in France, Germany, Switzerland, you know, Denmark, areas like that where it, Cuba, Venezuela, those are social programs where you actually have access to housing, food, education, all of those things. It is a social network that everyone has access to. It's not behind a paywall. Um, do we have that? No. We have very, very limited social programs that have perpetually been walked back where they're losing their mediocre efficacy that they used to have. For example, if you have a food stamp card, sure, it'll help, but is it going to even feed you the whole month? No.
I'd like to expand on that because it kind of makes me think about Andrew Yang a little bit, who initially, when I was the greenest of greens of a leftist, thought, oh, he wants a UBI, how cool is that? But then upon hearing him speak again more recently, and about this UBI that he's really been advocating for, he's only doing it to eradicate the social programs that we already have in place, even if the amount of that UBI would not be enough to compensate for the lack of social program.
Right. And that's the thing, is you shouldn't have to show an insurance card to get medical care.
Right.
You shouldn't have to show funding to access education.
Right.
Just, our tax dollars are more than enough to cover this. We're spending them waging war instead.
Right.
We dump trillions into that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the biggest expense that we have here that could be cut drastically. Like, does it make sense for any country to have a military? Sure. Do we need one bigger than the next 20 to 25 countries combined?
No.
No. That's fucking ridiculous. So there's a lot of stupid spending that's happening with our money, and that also comes back to another facet of our representatives don't fucking represent us. This representative government represents the corporations, represents the military, which in turn represents the corporations that it hands all of its private contracts to for every fucking thing.
Right.
Like even our military budget used to be much smaller when there was actual manufacturing happening that was, military jobs for civvies. And since that stuff has started to be outsourced to private corporations instead, the costs have skyrocketed. You'll see shit that literally costs either pennies or at most dollars to make being charged hundreds to our tax dollars, Yeah, James, we got to kill people and put our flag in their yard.
I should
Fucking
laugh at
imperialism.
that.
Fucking imperialism. And yeah, David, you're right. It's reserved for the elite workers. Politicians get socialism. You serve in Congress or as president or VP, then you get paid for the rest of your fucking life. You get benefits for the rest of your fucking life.
Mm-hmm. But people who actually serve people, like social workers, teachers, child care workers, I feel like those people get shit on the most. It's like they're constantly having to fight for their position and their jobs, even though they've proven to be reliable employees and all sorts of other things. And until that tenure is maintained, they're bidding every year. It's gross.
Just saw Quetz TV asked if we've seen Ukraine on fire. I don't know if you have. I have. It is. That film's on fire. He hits on so many things that a lot of people are completely fucking aware of when it comes to the hand the U.S. government has had in funding Ukraine's coup, Nazi fucking coup, for the last goddamn 8 years. Oliver Stone really did his homework there and is showing evidence of all of these things. Interviewing the people involved and calling them on their shit.
That's
and
cool.
Everybody needs to see that film. That right there, that'll open your eyes to how much more of our money gets wasted, not just on our own military, but funding other militaries. I mean, there's billions that we dumped into Ukraine in 2014 just to fund the Maidan coup itself to begin with. Billions. I've got, I'll send you these links later too, so we can, get these in the comments. um, that I've got the links of the fucking recordings that he plays in that film too, uh, of Obama's administration on the phone with NATO leadership, handpicking which Nazis they're gonna anoint to power there, things like that. And it's like, wow, we got money for that, but we don't have money to fucking make sure that people have basic fucking life needs here.
Right.
These
And then,
motherfuckers want to bitch about the birth rate because they don't have enough more humans being fucking made to replace the ones here. They
that we
claim,
broke.
and yet it's like, but you don't want to address any of the things here that are making a lot of us go, yeah, no, I really can't have kids.
Right. Ooh.
And I mean, even with that said, abortion and birth control should still absolutely be a right, even with those things being met. Why? Because family planning matters. Being able to decide when and if you want to have kids still matters. And being able to address healthcare issues like ectopic pregnancies, things like that, miscarriages that don't expel and give you septic uterus, things like that. Abortion is healthcare. So it's not a this or that. It's fuck you, we want both.
Right. Ooh, we gotta wrap up. I just saw it's 9 o'clock, right? Or 9 o'clock my time.
Yes, it's 7 here. Yeah, so Rob's going to be here any minute now. So we should wrap things up. And yes, James, we left tanks and weapons in Afghanistan. They justified it with saying it would be more expensive to ship them back.
Right. So just leave them there for them to play with. It's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And
already
this
in
was-
their sandbox, so.
Let's rewind. We funded, trained, and created Daesh, which is the real name of it. People here call it fucking Al Qaeda. It's Daesh. They were our allies. We fucked them over, made them enemies, wasted trillions of dollars in 20 fucking years to go over there and then fight them, only to then replace Daesh with Daesh.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. It's just sad.
Yes, it is, especially when those trillions of dollars could have done so much good in lifting people up out of fucking poverty.
But we
Why? Go
we
ahead.
don't want to do that. We just want to act like the police. We just want to come in with the big guns. Pew, pew, pew.
Right.
And the star badge.
We're spreading democracy, and you know, we don't have real democracy here, and that's one of the biggest fucking things I don't get about people who even try to justify it with that shit. Because if we had real democracy here, then the majority of the population who wants to keep abortion rights and access to health care, access to birth control, etc., then this wouldn't even be up for discussion if we had real democracy of one person, one vote.
And the rest of the world wouldn't be fucking laughing at us constantly. Like, I picture the United States as like a 10-year-old in a diaper, acting like an infant. That's what I see when I think of the country that I live in, and I know that's mean, but that's what it feels like.
You ain't wrong. Fuck.
But
Just another moment of American politics making me scream, what the fuck?
America, disappointing since its foundation.
Yeah. That. You're correct, David. They infiltrate and fucking take shit out.
Right.
They're doing that right now. Look into NSC 131 as far as CIA working with right-wing militias, and by that I mean literal Nazis. Well, if you don't know who I'm referring to. That's what they're doing right now, and they're literally using them to set up Antifa and go and arrest Antifa for protesting these fucking Nazis in our streets.
Well, Antifa is just this massive, massive, dangerous organization.
They're not even an organization. The
Just-
anti-fascist is a frame of mind.
They're out there. They are out there, Zen, and they are coming for you in their black sweatshirts, doing the things, hurting the peoples.
Well, as an ethnic Jew, I am anti-fascist. I am anti-Nazi. So they won't be coming for me, but I will definitely keep applauding them as they punch Nazis. I'm all about that. And don't just stop at punching one. Keep punching.
Right?
Always punch a Nazi.
I love it. It is America.
Indeed.
Well, folks, it's been another good one.
Indeed. Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
It's been an
Thanks.
excellent conversation.
Yes. Adding positive things, not like that one weirdo that had a yellow thing that I had to put on. Bye-bye. It took me a while to figure it out, too. Like,
The 3 dots next to their name.
I was like, Zach, I blocked everybody in your chat. You're welcome.
Oh, man. Oh,
So
it's
great.
fucking great. And that's the thing, like, when you block them from Restream, I think they can still, like, view what's happening on the show from Twitch. They just are forced to sit down and shut the fuck up.
That sounds like a good situation.
Excellent.
I don't see a problem with it.
Yep. You can still watch, just can't troll and derail.
Yeah.
I find that so unnerving because there's so many things that actually matter that we've been discussing, and that guy keeps popping up out of nowhere. Like, hey, I'm here to derail your conversation. And it's like, no, because even everything you bring up, I can bring right the fuck back to the point of the conversation about this row bullshit, because intersectionality. Like, derail
can't-
trail.
He probably can't even spell that word, so
Probably right.
we probably gotta stay in that three-syllable section of words. We can't go anything higher than that.
Right. Start using big words, and he is like, yeah, your side. And it's like, oh, that's why he couldn't say conservative. That's 4 syllables. It's out of his realm.
Yep, he doesn't even know.
Like, you are a conservative.
What is conservative?
Neoliberal. Fuck, that's 5. He also, yep, he didn't realize. He's a shit lib.
Probably should give him pictograms next time.
That
Like,
would
here,
be
buddy, you got something to say? Use these nice little picture cards.
Well, like, we can do Google search and grab some things like, the real political spectrum and things like that to show these fuckers, like, here's where you're at.
Mhm.
Here's where your fascist, bigoted ass is at. Neoliberal.
Right. Here's the political compass test. I'm going to welcome you to take this, but you're not allowed to comment until you are in the furthest corner of the green box.
Goddamn right. Oh, man.
That's-
People are always like, don't feed the trolls, and it's like, they're feeding me.
It's like, it's kind of fun, though, to play with them a little bit. I mean, if they're going to come on your lawn,
Right.
might as well.
Yes, I do follow other streamers, too. One of my favorites is Red Left Radio. They're fucking awesome. I don't know about you. Do you follow other streamers, too?
I'm more of a YouTube gal. I like to watch lots of people. I love Hassan. Noah Samson is recently coming up for me quite a bit. He does a lot of stuff like landlord takedowns and incel type things, which I find to be absolutely delightful content.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
but
If you
I'm
need a
just,
smile in your day.
yeah, I find my day to be stressful enough. I need some like lighthearted, like, why can't I get a girlfriend kind of problems to unwind. Like, I don't know why you can't get a girlfriend. Maybe your expectations are too high.
Oh god, it makes me think of the incel stuff. I'm sorry. There's Rob calling. Sorry. Give me
That's
just a
right.
second to mute my mic.
How many of you guys that are in the chat would be interested in us talking about incels sometimes? Because that is relevant to mental health. Incels and femcells? Give us a thumbs up if this is a topic of interest to you.
Okay, he's almost here.
Alright.
Yeah. Got a few minutes. He's still got to get through the gate up at the front. God love him. He's fucking awesome. He went and picked up my new storage rack for the back of the RV from the RV supply today. It's got a ramp on there so I can quit killing my back trying to move my generator and be able to put it where I can use it and not set my truck on fire. So,
Yay!
yeah, now I'll be able to roll that fucker off the ramp and, save my spine.
That's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Spines are very important.
Yes, they are. And that was absolutely wonderful of him to go pick that up for me today. It was so fucking hot. I was kind of concerned about driving into town because without my onboard Jenny running, I have no way to run the roof AC and keep it cool in here. And the last time I ran into town Sunday, it got so hot that my cats were overheating. And, I had to dunk them in cold water to bring their body temperature down and stuff, like freak the fuck out.
Probably piss at you.
So, that's fucking beautiful of him that, he made time to bring that out to the campground to me. And unelectable airwaves. I'm going to write that down.
That sounds kind of
That
fun.
does sound good.
That sounds like my life. I always joke that I'm going to run for some sort of office, and Zach's like, sure you are.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to wear Hillary Clinton pantsuits too, but I'm going to be cool.
And, yeah, they're on Twitch. Okay, I wrote that down to check them out. That's got to be interesting. At this point, I find pretty much any and all politicians to be unelectable because they're not representing us once they're in there.
Right.
Election politics have done nothing but show me through my entire fucking life, 40 years thus far, that these motherfuckers don't give a shit about representing the will of the people. They give a shit about representing the will of whoever's lining their pockets, whether it be the family, the group I referenced earlier, that is a bunch of fucking Christo fascists who want to impose their religious beliefs into law and have them enshrined, or corporations that want to fuck us over, poison us, poison our water, poison the land, for profits, etc. On down the fucking line. That's who they fucking represent. It's whoever writes them the fattest fucking legalized bribery check.
Which, again, take money out of it. That's the biggest fucking problem, is that you can just buy your way out of anything you want. And it's bullshit.
Right. When it comes to this whole land of the free thing, it's like, sure, you can get away with anything in America so long as you have money to buy your way out. If you're poor and you have a fucking joint on you in a state like fucking, I think Texas is still anti-marijuana, you'll go to jail for that.
Right.
I mean, at least we're to the point now, last I checked, I think it was 37 states now have at least medical, if not recreational too. But the fact that there are still so many that haven't, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Hell, there's even a case came across my desk earlier today of a legal grower in a legal state getting put in prison because of it still being federally illegal for him to do his job. His job is literally to be a medical provisioner of marijuana, and the Fed went after him for doing his job. So where do they really stand on states' rights if they're not respecting that one? You think we're supposed to expect them to respect states' rights about abortion? Even when, you know, the ones that are trying to ban it already are trying to act as if they have authority to punish women for traveling to a state where it is legal to get the health care they need. It's fucked. This is fucked. All they care about is control. And yeah, that's how the Cheeto got in.
That took me a second. I was like, oh, and then I realized.
El Presidente Anaranjado.
Yeah. So special. Living that special life. Gonna make some sort of Trumpy media.
Right. Fucking clown. Just fucking clown.
Horrible person. We were in Florida December of 2016.
I'm so
and
sorry.
We drove by Mar-a-Lago because I wanted to see it, right? Like, what does a giant golden piece of shit look like in real life? And I saw it.
Oh God. The last I was in Florida was April 2016, and the Pro Orange One shit was already starting with so many people, and it was kind of amazing. When I was down there that winter, I was working a petition drive to get marijuana legalized for medical use in Florida. It was the second time it got put on the ballot. Second time it actually got enough votes, but the first time it got passed, because the first time they got enough votes to actually pass it, then they moved the goalposts. Like, well, we decided we wanted you to have more support for this than your majority you already got. So they fucked everybody the first time. The second time, I'm out here, you know, talking to people, collecting signatures, and there was people from all across political spectrums who were down with it. Like, fuck yeah. And it was amazing, some of the conversations that I had with people who were very hardcore working class and pro-pot, but Trump supporters. And I was like, oh goodness, can we sit down and have a coffee?
Right.
Let's talk for a minute, because there's a whole lot more to this picture that you're clearly not seeing.
Right, and that's just it. You gotta talk to these people. You've got to figure out the mindset. I mean, they've done studies and shit, sure, that show, like, the mental discrepancies of Democrats and Republicans, and they said the hugest thing for, like, Republicans and stuff is everything they do is a fear response. They do it because they are afraid.
You're absolutely correct. And I just heard car door, so I'm all
right.
I got a dip. Rob's here, but I love you. Thank you.
Love you too.
This. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Hemp Theory will be back next Thursday night. Feel free to join in.
Indeed.
It's random. You guys will love it. We love having you. If you ever think of things you want us to do, let us know, and have a great night. Feel free to protest the shit out of what's going on this weekend, because I know I will.
Feel free to riot. This is when it's called for. We're
Right,
talking human rights.
right. And if you're a contact lenses person, please don't wear them. Wear your glasses. In case you're
Right,
pepper
if you get
sprayed.
maced, yeah, if you get maced, it's stuck in there.
Yep,
Just saying. Bring milk with you.
yep. Bring extra water. Take care. Wear a mask. We love you. Be safe.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week.